Hello, hello, hello. It could be said, it could be said that today is the most important episode. And along with that, I'm gonna be continuing in the complete, unedited, full scale version of this recording process. Because that's what I want to show. And along with that, we're done writing. So let's read it. Of all 60 days that we have done this, it has been a marvelous journey so far. So now, let's get into day 60. Conclusion. There are so many things I want to talk about for today. I don't even know where to start. So let's start from the beginning. I've always wanted to reconnect with my left side. I was never sure how, but I knew I was going to be ambidextrous. The day I chose to get up and start this, I was tipsy and sad, but I just wanted a change. So why not commit to a passion? While making this all, I never knew what I was doing, but it felt right. I intellectualized and came to understand all these lessons of love in my own way. Whatever I knew, whether I knew it or not, I was falling in love with myself and seeing my humanity in a new light. A piece of me wants to write off all the progress I've made in favor of saying I haven't achieved something or some standard, but that's just not me. For 60 days, what I've written is phenomenal, and how I've grown is phenomenal. Even in this short writing for today, I don't feel like it doesn't capture the overwhelming joy I have for this series, for everything that I've done, even for living shit. Seriously. Like, I think it's only fair to start this conversation over freeballing at this time, because the conclusion of this is in the lessons that I've learned. So let's take it from the start again. I think about how for a while I was talking to coworkers and friends about how I wanted to be ambidextrous. Ambidexterity is something that I'm going to work on. I'm going to do it. And for months after I spoke it, I never really did anything, you know? And once I picked up the camera and really got into being in love with just making videos and capturing humanity, it always lingered in the back of my mind. I should be ambidextrous. The fuck is going on my computer? Something is going on. What the fuck? Hold up. My computer was doing something weird. But yeah. It's just something beautiful, man. Like, I practiced my ambidexterity in like previous journal entries that I would write like just for myself. And it would just be a little bit at a time, and it would be terrible. And I was never consistent enough at writing in my journal so that I could see the growth that I wanted to see. But inevitably, I just knew in my heart I needed to commit to this, and not out of anything for ego or anything, but because I just knew I needed to connect with myself in this deeper way, right? And I think, especially just because in the latter half of this series, the conversation really shifted into creativity, but I feel like it was always about creativity. But I feel like I talked about this before as well. My creativity and my spontaneity, I feel, was something that is born out of my left side, honestly. And being able to hone that alongside honing in on these other creative passions all at the same time, I feel really created something magnificent for me in the experience that I've had in this life so far. It's crescendoing at this phenomenal point where I can really see the beauty of this tenacity, and it's really taking light in a manner that I'm extremely satisfied with. Also, mind my voice. I'm definitely sick. But yeah, like, when I first think about how I started this using the pre-K book, I remember I went out like the same night or something and was like, I need something to write, and I need like one of them pre-K books, because like that's like how I remember learning how to write, right? Man, I haven't seen this in like months. But we go through it, and my handwriting was bad, guys. Look at that. And I was literally like, I need something to write in, and I just need to be told how to go about this, because that's how I remember learning how to write with my right hand. You know, I didn't have any other recollection of how I really came to be. But, you know, I always remembered I loved to draw with my right hand, and I knew I needed to tap into that eventually. And like, the method that this book started you in was through drawing, you know, the simple patterns, the squares and lines, the curves and everything. But I feel like it wasn't enough, you know. As I talk about, as I talked about back then as well, I would say that this book is a constitutional method for acquiring good handwriting. And what do I mean by constitutional method? Well, in The Green Book by Al-Gaddafi, he states that constitutional means are man-made means, right? In specific, he references constitutional law, because it's in reference to like laws of life, laws of society, right? The constitutional and natural laws of life, right? So this man-made book with its man-made prerequisites is a constitutional method by which I was accessing my ambidexterity. And it was a good springboard, but it could never fulfill me, ever. Because it's not me. That's the issue. And with that, it came up a lot of consequences. You know, the growth that I felt was based upon how much of it I was completing, as opposed to the true amount of strength and firmness I was finding within my lines. And that type of completion ultimately was nothing. It meant nothing. The joy of creation was fundamentally removed away from it for the joy of completion. And I did complete it. But as we see later on with the sketchbook, my growth accelerated into a degree that was beautiful. The first day after writing in the sketchbook, I saw a change in my handwriting. I saw a change in my handwriting that I had never experienced through the preschool book. It was immediate, rapid, and fulfilling. The creative side of me was being fulfilled in a manner I had never thought about. And simply letting myself draw like this for some time was peaceful. It was grounding, and it allowed my mind to ruminate in a new manner that, not a new manner, but in a way I hadn't felt in a very long time. And it was beautiful. I use that word a lot, but this whole thing was incredibly beautiful, I feel. And it was about the journey. It was a journey of self-discovery. And I'm beyond ecstatic for where I have found myself in this. You know, my love for life has only grown. And you know, when I look at these first drawing, when I look at this last one, this last drawing is nothing but a complete summary of everything that has been made. Out of everything that I've done, I think this is the most beautiful one. Not simply just because of recency bias, but because I think it perfectly encapsulates the growth that had to be undertaken to reach this. You see the full swell of mindless creativity be brought out, and it's simple and to the point. It doesn't need some extra purpose to it. It just is, as all things are. You know? This was bittersweet. I loved making these videos, and I love what I'm doing next. So, let's look at our handwriting. Looking at day one, I see how shaky I am. You know, I kept it so short and to the point because my hand hurt after writing this short amount. I was nervous and scared, so I was just like, let's do it. That was the 5-minute video where I was like, my grandma forced me to be right-handed, and I just went for it. And I continued it for the next couple of days. My handwriting was shaky. I wrote very little, actually. You know, compared to what I'm writing at the end of this, I wrote very little, you know. My handwriting was some dookie, you know, my curves were off. It was very odd. But I kept up with it because 60 days of ambidexterity. Like, what? That's the series. Man. This really is bittersweet. And, you know, in particular, when I was writing with both hands, I should have done it again. I'll do that for myself next. It won't be on camera. Oh. I am sick. Sorry. But yeah. Man, motherfucking tastic. Yeah. You know, I see myself slowly write more. I see my handwriting get a little more firm with each day. It's great. You know, you see how it has its ups and downs, or it's like it dips down in its fluidity, but it always comes back up. Seriously. And the consistency continuing with this, you know. In these last 5 videos, this was the most time I've ever taken to complete a full week's worth of videos. Because literally, I used to make these videos same day. Record, edit, upload, bang, you know. And then I started recording on the weekends and scheduling them. So like for the past 3 weeks, I've been scheduling them and I've been up ahead. But still, this last week I took my time and allowed myself to breathe in between each video to really maximize this and appreciate this. Because it's just fantastic, you know? And throughout this series, especially in the later half, I started using some footage of nature and recording a lot more nature. And I did that in particular because our creativity is what connects us to the natural world around us. Our creativity is what connects us to creation. Duh. But literally, like, the natural world around us, nature and just life, it is where I feel the ultimate form of creative expression exists, you know, and persists. It is cyclical. And along with that, I feel that allowing ourselves to dwell within it, the simplicity of it, and the bountiful aspects of it to its fullest is what can reconnect ourselves to our own creativity, you know. For the last half of this week, I literally just was drawing lines, right? Not because I couldn't take inspired action or anything, but literally because it was through this simplistic form of rigidity and ensuring that I was cultivating a practice that could bear fruit, could come to be. When I look at these trees before me, they have that same rhythm within them. Every leaf is the equivalent to a line drawn. Think about it, bro. Every leaf that a tree grows is the equivalent to a line of practice here. Every branch is a page of growth, of practice, of excellence. Every time it attempts to grow something new, it is only attempting to master itself and its expression. Nothing more, nothing less. It lives because that's what it is. And we should do the same. And something that I talked about a long time ago, I don't think I ever talked about it on video, but I was talking with an old acquaintance, and I was talking about how this series, I felt like it gave me an excuse to live. And like, just because I have found something that attaches me to cultivating something for me doesn't mean it's an excuse to live because I'm always living. I just have taken control over the self-deterministic respects that I exist as, right? This isn't I deserve. This is an I am. You get me? And I'm always talking about self-determination, self-deterministic principles and whatnot. But seriously, think about it. How are you participating within your... Sorry, I got distracted. I don't know if you hear that. But how are you participating within your freedom, your self-determination? You get me? What are you doing to really say, I am the master in my life? You know, I work full time, 40 fucking hours a week. I wake up at 3 a.m. and go to the gym. I come home and I edit and act upon my creative passions. So even though for a third of my day, technically 2/3 because we're counting sleep, I still find a way to force my expression in there. You know, and even for the individuals that have even less time. 30 minutes, 15 minutes a day will take you a long way. This isn't about comparing yourself to anybody in any metric. This is about living for yourself. And also, another thing that we need to fundamentally master is that all of this is meaningless. We do not create to be remembered. We create to live. Because we'll all die and be forgotten, right? So, like, I can burn this shit right now. I won't give a fuck. Because it's done and did. I lived it. I made my past. I can move on. You get me? And ultimately, I feel that this connects back into society as a whole and how we relinquish ourselves and our participation in our lives for watching it, you know? And it's ironic. I'm creating content to be watched, but telling people to go live their life, you know? It's like telling people, get the fuck off your phone while I'm texting you on my phone, right? Where's the balance? You know, you're a hypocrite. And it's like, you can do both, actually, but it's about how you participate in it. Because the content that I watch comes from those within my community, those that I care about, and those that I know, right? The content that I watch can affect me directly, materially. Even the ways in which I participate in my entertainment nowadays. But entertainment is creation. My entertainment is connection. Every day, there's a piece of me that wishes I could yearn back and put 10,000 hours back into Warframe really easily and comfortably and just throw all my responsibilities to the side. But I can't. I have to put in like 2 hours a week. If I'm lucky, 2 hours a day. You know? But we can participate in these things at a balance, because the means in which we participate within our entertainment and within our comfortability is a direct correlation by the means in which we participate in our politics and our material circumstance. And you might be asking, where the fuck did this come from? And I'll tell you where. The Green Book, shameless motherfucking plug. Go look at my blog. But like, seriously, like, our creativity is what I feel, our creativity and our expression of it, whether we do something or not, it's a choice, has a direct correlation by which our material circumstance is affected and our emotional circumstance is affected. We have a choice in how we want to ameliorate the discomforts that exist between us. And it is incredibly difficult and challenging to try and shift this without first individual accountability, but also a recognition of the fact that the circumstance in which we find ourselves is actively set up to deter us from making strong and healthy communication and connection. So how are you going to move forward with the abundant resources before you that can change this? You know, I had a big word, don't have it anymore, but the internet and digital communication and mass media communication as a whole is what will free us. But first is in how we express ourselves upon it. You know, the reason that I actually started the blog, or my blog, in the first place is because I wanted to express myself in a true fashion. You know, I hate Instagram, I hate TikTok, I hate YouTube. Sorry, YouTube, I know I'm uploading this on YouTube. But I hate all these platforms. And it's because this isn't me. You know, I'm forced through a certain lens in which I'm meant to operate. But, like, I still have to mold myself. And like, I don't mold myself on these platforms. I won't lie. But like, if you want to be seen, it's going to be so much harder remaining in your authenticity. Right? And what the fuck does that even look like? You know? Something that really spoke to me. Or it's something that I've known for a while now and have finally like had the avenues to talk about it. But our authenticity is a performance for the self and no one else. So with that, my authentic expression throughout the series has been me, the bug. You know? But like, I'm acting like this for me. I'm being weird for me. I'm being different from me. And that's it. You know? And when we hold ourselves to that and saying, I'm going to be me for me, that's where that growth comes in. But these platforms don't incentivize the individual to be themselves for themselves. You feel me? Right? Because if you're yourself for yourself to its fullest extent, then trends aren't going to be hitting the same. And you won't be able to buy as much to satisfy the hole in your heart if you're satisfied as an individual. You get me? Your consumption habits change if you like who you are. You talk to people differently if you like who you are. You get me? So, in conclusion, be weird, be different, be you, be odd, and love yourself. What is this? It's the SD card reader. Okay. Bye. I'll see you guys another time. Wait! Actually, you know what's about to happen next? Hold up. I just grabbed you by the motherfucking throat. Or I just grabbed you by the motherfucking throat. Back in the light. Okay, so over here we have the sewing machine. And over here, I think you saw it, we have a camera. Those are the two things I'm going to be participating with in my next journey of content for YouTube. It won't be pumped out to the same degree, but it's going to be something really cool. I'm going to learn how to sew, and I'm going to learn how to take digital photography or mechanical photography on film. And yeah, we're gonna be continuing down this creative expression in a new light, and I'm gonna show you some cool stuff. Yeah. Okay, so I'll attach the Life Through Lenses and the Art of Fitness shitty trailers after they were criticized. And I need to fix some stuff on it, but like, just know things are subject to change. But enjoy yourself. Anyways, be you, be odd, be different, be weird, and all that fun, positive messaging. So, how do you start a movie? I don't know. This is something that I have been trying to figure out for months. You know, I love just diving into things. But when it came to this project, I wanted it to mean something. And I guess I really struggled to just dive into it this time around. So after too many months of stalling and trying to figure out what am I really going to do with this, I've decided to just do it and talk.
What it takes to satisfy me is, I know it's the emotion that other people feel. I want my art to strike an emotion before it strikes a check.
Momentum is like, that's the only thing that really matters, is like rhythm. And if you think about, if you do something like every day and then you stop one day, you kind of lose the frequency that you were at.
I feel like either way, no matter what, you're always putting on a performance in front of somebody, especially when there is a lens right in front of you, because it's the only thing that you can realistically think about. Like, is a lens in front of me.
Even though I know what I want to make, I feel like it's impossible to explain it through all these other means that I've tried, and I just have to do it. And there's a certain fear in doing things that stops us from creating and stops us from living, ultimately. My fitness has been the root by which my creativity and confidence have come to spring forth. It all started with discipline, and it didn't come about out of a real want. It was something that needed to happen to grow into the person that I needed to be.